Hey,
Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. This is the first live stream for Digital Assets Trading Academy. My name's Ted, and I'm going to be hosting with my dad, Ned. And we have a lot of exciting information and charts and cryptocurrency analysis that we're going to be giving to you people. And I was going to let everyone know about my 2 steps for success. And if you stick to these 2 things, you are going to be a profitable trader, no questions asked. The first thing that everybody needs to know is defining the time frame. Why is this important? Because the market is constantly moving at speeds that the bots and humans can barely keep up with. There are millions and millions of transactions per minute, per second, and in order to have a place and know where your trade is, where your investment is, where your money is, you need to be aware of the time frame. So it's not as hard as it sounds. The easiest thing to do is take a look at a weekly price chart. This will show you where the price of a certain coin, commodity, it doesn't matter what it is. In this segment, we will be focusing on cryptocurrencies only, but you look at where you're at. There's long, medium, and short-term timeframes, and we're going to get way into the specifics more, but for now, I want you to know that that is the number 1 key to success for trading. The number 2 key to success for trading is have a trade plan. I cannot emphasize this enough that you need to know exactly what your goals are, exactly how long you want to hold a position, exactly how much money you want to make. And please know that trading is risky, and this is not by any means professional or official advice, and we hold no liability for your trade decisions. And with that, I'll hand it off to Ned, and we'll look at some price charts.
all right. Hey, everybody. So yeah, I'm Ned from with the Digital Assets Trading Academy, and I've been trading for many, many years. I started off trading stocks, and talk about a snooze fest. You're lucky if you made 7% a year. That was considered pretty good when I started trading. So then I was going for the glory, so I started trading forex, and I've traded. I'm always amused when crypto people talk about the whales and market manipulation. And if you want to see true market manipulation, just trade forex for a week. It's actually pretty funny. So anyway, I have lots of experience trading. I've studied with a lot of people like Jim Dalton, Rob Mitchell. Been part of a lot of trading rooms. I've traded futures, crude oil futures. That's another one that'll test your metal, gold futures, and about 18 months ago, Ted introduced me to crypto, and I started trading. I think my first trade on Neo was Neo, right? So
$33 Neo. Remember the days.
yeah, when it was converting over from ant shares, right, to Neo.
Yeah.
And it's been a cool ride. I got to ride that first, soon after, that's when we had the Chinese and the Korean FUD, banning crypto. But then caught that first upswing, which was really nice. And then been, I didn't realize, like Game of Thrones, that winter was coming. So it's been a long year. But, really testing. And listen, you can make money, right? You can make money whether the market is moving up, moving down, or when it's in a range. As long as you, like Ted was saying, you have a really great trade plan, you can make money as long as you stick with your plan and you get good mentorship, and that's what we're here to provide. So make sure you click that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. This is going to be the first of many regular videos that we're going to do, and in the future we're going to announce some exciting seminars, and so we really want everybody to be able to profit from this really exciting digital assets marketplace, right?
So with that, we should let's take a look at Bitcoin and see where we're at.
Yeah. All
The
right.
uh, the first thing I want to say is that regardless of what you see here on the charts, Bitcoin is undervalued today. This is January 2019, and we're seeing $3,600 Bitcoin, and this is very undervalued. Any conservative investor who understands basic buy low, sell high principles will also tell you this.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's been reported last year that the powers that be in fintech, financial technology companies, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, while they were saying, Bitcoin is dead or it's a scam, meanwhile, they invested $184 million into digital asset infrastructure. So, these are smart people with a lot of money. They're not going to make that kind of investment unless it was serious. So, let's just, use this time to hone our skills, hone our craft as traders, and move forward. So,
And this is we're in a really great time to be learning basic trade principles right now. And this chart is actually, now that I look at it a little more in depth, I mean, this is perfect. Um, if you go back to like the 20-day, 30-day window where it was before, we can see that we're in, more or less $1,000 range right now. We have a low, at 3150 about, and our high is upwards of 4375, 4400, give or take. Now this is kind of a trader's dream in a way, because what I was saying when I started the video here is defining the time frame. I didn't mention defining the type of market you're in. Now we're going to put a lot of material on the specifics of this, but really identifying if the market is ranging or trending. 90% of the time, the market is in a consolidation phase. And this is exactly what we're seeing right here. We're seeing, a move in mid-December that is a yearly low, but we saw a move right back up to that 4,200 zone, and now we're really ranging between 3,400 and 4,200. I mean, I can count the bars real quick, but I mean, it's been about 15 days of trading where we have not seen prices extend beyond 4,200 or below 3,450. I mean, truly.
yeah, the high was that New Year's Eve spike up.
Yeah. So you want to talk a little bit about support and resistance?
Sure. Uh, so I actually just want to add one thing. They say markets move trend up, trend down, or move sideways, and the sideways move is the majority of the time. I would actually postulate that even when a market is moving up, it's in a trend, it's in a range, and it's just stepping between ranges really fast, right? So if we just move back into the chart, so this is back in December of 17, so the market moved up, but even when the market was moving up, you could see, we had definite ranges. So they weren't as long and pronounced, but they were ranges. So if you're able to identify when you're in a range and trade that range, buy low, sell high, and you make that your mantra, you will do well. For some reason, when it comes to investing, people like to buy high and sell low, and you're going to get wrecked, if you keep doing that. So we're going to help you identify, where the low points are, where the high points are. I am a firm believer in, some people call it naked trading. We're trying to come up with a slogan. So any suggestions would be helpful. Lucid trading may be good, or minimalist trading, but the idea is that I really believe you identify support and resistance, and then you look for a price action at those levels, and that's how you're going to make money. I have a graphic up here. Let's see if I can find it. So if your chart looks like this, and trust me, I've seen a lot of traders, this may be an exaggeration, but I've seen a lot of traders trade with these kind of charts. It's like, you're just confusing yourself. How are you going to know, is the market going? There's no way you can know what price action is. So, we're going to show you how to avoid these kind of charts and really simplify it. And I will teach you how to draw support and resistance, and I call them zones. Some people like to draw horizontal lines, and that's fine. To me, I see these as price action zones. So I like to capture the wick. So I drew this range back in December of 2017. And, at some point, this range is going to come back into play. This range I drew back in January of 2018. And you can see how I drew it. I captured the wick of a few of these candles and most of the upper half of the bodies. And then just about a month later, you could see this candle here was a perfect shooting star right into that range. And then about 14 days after that, we attacked that zone again. Down here, you can see this long-tailed doji. Recently, I heard people calling this a kangaroo candle. So I never heard that before. That's pretty interesting. But this
jumping in here to this resistance zone. I mean, why are these so crucial? If you're, maybe you haven't really traded before, you don't really know when to get in. You hear your buddies talking about crypto and they're trading, and you're not really sure what to do. But if you work with us or you understand basic resistance levels, I mean, from the beginning of February, and then that move to hit that resistance zone. Why is that significant? Let's tell everyone why.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So there's a market going on here, right? There's a market of buyers and sellers, and there's a market, and there's a flow of this market. It's like an auction, right? It's price is trying to find that equilibrium point of supply and demand. So if we're over here in this area here, now let's say you wanted to sell, right? And you had, say, $10 million. So I'm not talking about us like the retail, the just everyday retail investor, but you're a big money person and, you own $10 million worth of Bitcoin, and you want to sell it. And you want to sell it at $11,475. Well, if you start selling, you're going to cause a crash in the price. So you're not going to be able to put all your sell orders on the books at one time, right? Because the other thing is you don't want to drive the price down too quickly because you want to try to get as many sales as you can at $11,475. And so you have to kind of feather in your sell orders. And so maybe here, you sold a third of your sale orders. Now that means you have 2/3 left. Now, these kind of traders, time becomes secondary to them, right? So their big concern is maintaining the price. So they sold up here. They still have orders on the books. Now, they're not putting it on the quote unquote order book that you see when you go into TradingView, but they have those waiting, right? And so they'll be patient. And then when price came down here and price came back up, now they're selling more of that order that they wanted to sell. Now, I'm also assuming that these are different people at the bottom and the top, and that could totally not be the case, right? So they could also be forcing, selling here, they sell just enough. They say the market is in a constant state of price discovery. So they're selling enough to move the price down. And then when it gets to this, which is $5,000, that's a nice move. Now they start buying back up again. And
so the everyday trader, and for us, we're not the big money movers. We're the people with a few $1,000s that, we want to grow. maybe more, maybe less. How do we take advantage of this? Because we know this. This is market cycles, and we repeat. And when you're in a known resistance zone, like the 11,475 zone, you know that price is going to have a hard time getting above that zone. There are a lot of sell orders there, and us as traders can take advantage of that.
Right. So these are the breadcrumbs, right? So one way to think of support and resistance as the breadcrumbs that the big money people are leaving behind. And it's up to us as the daily, the plain Jane average trader to identify these. And it's really important to know the game that's afoot, right? Like they say at a poker table, if you don't know who the sucker is, it's you. So it's the same thing here with trading. If you don't know the game that's being played, you're going to be the antelope or the caribou, at the end, at the back of the pack that the leopard is going to come and hunt down and take out. So we don't want to be that, right?
And the nice thing about being in tune with these moves and understanding it is there's no loyalty here. This is just the market. If you have a view and price moves against your view, then switch and take the other side. This isn't no, Bitcoin's going to 15,000, in March, and then he didn't, we didn't see Bitcoin pass that 11,475 level. And but it's going to go up. It's going to go up. No, it didn't. And you see these 4 or 5 days in a row, right where the cursor is, that price failed to move above that level. So you say, what? Okay, I'm going to my my shorting account, and we'll talk about how to get involved with actually putting in short sale orders and leverage, and that's another exciting part.
And also the benefits of hodling and whether one should hodl. That's going to be a huge topic. It may be a little controversial, but we definitely have our opinions on that. And so that's coming up. So remember to hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified, when we have that discussion, because it'll be, really interesting, and there's lots of different opinions on that.
Everyone, just a little disclaimer, we're kind of in our incubator phase. We've been researching and studying for a long time, a lot of years, and we're just going live now. And there's a lot of exciting information and trade analysis, and we're going to get, a trading room set up, a trading lounge. We're going to be really active in the community here. And, don't miss out on this. This is something that, you can be at home watching the football game, have your charts up, and, make $500 really easily. I mean, I've done it. It's something that, we can all do together and make some good money on this.
Yeah. I was just remembering that night on the USD yen pair.
Remember, nice, remember.
We made so much money on that trade. All right, so let's go back and I want to just show the point. So when we were here, this long wick down, and so I created this support zone here, and we still had the support zone up here. And now you can see a little bit later, price hit it, and now it's a little lagging, right? And so now we're going back into our resistance zone. So, these are totally tradable areas. And so now if we move to today's price action.
One sec here. This seems like a lot. Like, do not be overwhelmed by this. I mean, we're kind of going quickly here, but if you subscribe to our channel and look at the articles we post, keep following us on the videos. I mean, this is really something that you can learn in, a short amount of time, relatively speaking. And, and just because you see all these levels and numbers, and I mean, there's a lot here, just follow it and you'll understand.
Yeah. I mean, anybody can learn to identify support and resistance. And the cool thing is you will develop your own technique. Not everybody is going to mark them on the charts the same way. And we are going to teach you how to do that. because
And I'm gonna do something now that a lot of people don't do, and a lot of people actually look down on this in the space. But I'm gonna tell you the trades that I took in the past couple weeks, just so you guys get a really clear understanding of exactly what I'm looking at and what our school looks at. I saw days and days of failure at the 4,000 level. I mean, truly, like I'm looking at this on Christmas Day, a family dinner. I got my chart out. I'm looking, and this thing, moves into the new year, and it can't break 4,000. And I'm just like, okay, I'm selling. It's it. It's it. So, I accumulated my long-term position around the 3,700 level, and I sold again when it dropped down from there, and I bought back at 34. And this is something that when you write down the numbers and you look at, not only everyone talks about ROI, return on investment. They say, how many X did you make on that trade? But what people don't talk about is how much did you increase your position size by? If you started with 1,000 shares or 1 Bitcoin or 0.2 Bitcoin, how much are you adding to your position? And that is something that can make and break a trader's career.
All right. Yeah, exactly. So since you were being so honest, Ted, I will share a trade I took this morning. Or it actually started yesterday or a couple days ago. So, I short the market as well as go long, which means I sell. So for those of you who don't know what that means, is I sell at a price with the hope that the price is going to go down, and then I could buy it back. So if I sell, ice cream. So I believe that ice cream is overstocked, and so I am going to go to the grocer, and I'm going to sell it at $10 because that's the current price, because I know it's going to go down, and I can buy it back at $5, and then I make the spread in between the 10 and the 5. And stocks work the same way. So I have a Kraken account, so I go and I took out a short right around here, and I got this nice pull down, drop down. And when I saw a price come in, so I have this gold line here, which is a single line, and I drew that because if we go back, it's kind of a reminder to me that this is a really important level, right? So we have
and for everyone who's learning here, what Ned just talked about is really crucial. It's switching, and he does it very quickly because he's been doing it for a while, but it's switching from a medium time frame perspective to a longer term time frame perspective. And doing that, yes, it will take time, but yes, that's a key level. And yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So you can see here, it acted as price actually blew through it and then acted as resistance, but then price went back up, hit this zone here, came down, and now it seemed to be acting as support. So this was my long-term. I guess I should talk about this big drop that we had, right, on January 10th. So that was last week when everybody, felt the sky was falling. But it was pretty obvious, right? We had 3 days of very weak action.
Battle of 4,000.
Yep.
I was calling it all day.
Yep. And so it wasn't really surprising that price couldn't push past that, and we had this huge sell-off. But, look how it came right to the gold line. I mean, like almost to the tick, right? I mean, it's pretty incredible how that works. And
now we may see some consolidation around that level, because there may be some big money short-term players that are trying to push this price down, but there could be a lot of longer-term orders at that 3,600 line. What that line's at? What? It's at
35.21.
Yeah, 35.21. So, keep looking for this, guys. Like we're going to give you the resources here, but all you really have to do is download TradingView, get familiar with how to get started. I wrote an article called Intro to Cryptocurrency that really outlines the basics. There's a lot of things we haven't talked about tonight, like what is a digital asset? How do I get started? How do I protect my investment? How do I get my money out? There's a lot of questions, and the true beginners here, it's okay. Like you did not miss the wave at all. I mean, if anything, now that the more people that get into the market, the better for the health of the market.
Yeah. So actually, this is a great area. So as you can see, I usually look at the day and the 4 hour, but I just want to show. So like Ted was saying earlier, change your time frame up. So here's the 15-minute time frame. So we had, when you have I'll call it a parabolic drop like this one, this major drop off the cliff. If you look at a higher time frame, you're not going to see the details. So actually, when that happens, I'll even go down to a 3-minute chart. So
that's a good point.
So I could see the details. But here on the 15-minute chart, it became clear there was an obvious resistance level and an obvious support level. So you see, I don't always go to the bottom wick. Sometimes, like I said, this is an art form, and you kind of do, you develop your own technique. And I will admit, sometimes I do this on my iPad. So with my finger, it's not always as accurate. But nonetheless, I kind of expect when price shoots back up, this is going to become a major area, because if we go and look at it on the 4 hour, right, you can see this was definitely a bear flag, which we'll get into more detail later. But this was like you have a big drop, and then this was kind of like a pause, right? So this is going to be important. Like, who came in with the sell orders during this pause, and we're not worried that price was going to go back up on them and sold. So it had to be people with a lot of money and a lot of orders to sell. So they probably started selling here, dropped the price dramatically, kind of sold here, let the market kind of take a breath, and then they continued selling down. And then we had this final capitulation here. That's a good word. And now we're moving back up. So this was the 4 hour chart, and I did enter this trade last night at about 5 a.m. And so if we go, let's go to the 30-minute.
Traders don't sleep a lot.
Yeah. So, okay. Right. So here, right. So I was watching this, and I saw price dip down. Once price moved back up, and then we had this long tail. I was not fooled by that, because a little secret here, this is all robots trading, and they're just trying to run everybody who had a stop loss. They're just trying to run them out of the market, which they do successfully. So every night they kind of do that. So that's another topic, whether or not to trade with stop losses.
And to understand that if you're drawing a Fibonacci from the high and low of a 10-day period, let's say, everyone else is drawing the same Fibonacci. So everybody knows the levels.
Right.
Now, everyone knows that they're putting stop losses right above or right below those levels. And the bots do come in and sweep up and take those orders out in the middle of the night. But you can take advantage of that. The whole point of this academy and our lectures here are to show you that if you understand what's happening as price moves toward an area, a recognized area, you can position your money to get out or to add and do however trade plan you want. But this is where it's all at.
Yeah. So the other piece of support and resistance is price action, and it's price action not in the middle, but price action at well-established support and resistance zones. So when I saw this high wick on the top, and then I saw the wicks on the bottom here fighting back right at this level of support, I decided it was a low-risk entry into the trade. And I will show you another technique that I use, which is called the bend, right? And so this is a line chart. Now, a line chart, really works well with this technique because it only shows you the closing price, right? So you don't get the wicks, you don't get a lot of that detail from a candle, but you do get other information. And so one technique is when price comes down, doesn't get to your level, and then you get this bend, that's an entry. Okay, so
we're going to post a video exactly on this technique too.
yeah, it's really important, but you could kind of see how price came up, dropped a little bit then, and then some people, if they're conservative, they will wait for the break, and then they would have entered in over here. When I saw that, I entered. Plus, I was sleeping and in the middle of sleep, and I woke up and saw that and said, okay, time to enter. So I did. And it worked out, right? Not every trade works out, but it was a pretty good trade today. And I'm still holding because I expect, I don't see anything yet telling me that price is not going to move up to this red zone here at 37.73. So that's my price prediction, not trading advice, but that's kind of how I'm reading the tea leaves. And look at this candle here. So we had this huge candle up. We're now on the 4-hour move sideways, and then this wick came down and touched, right? I mean, this should prove to you that support and resistance is really accurate. See how that it came down right to the tick. And then and now price. So now price may come down. Sometimes price will retest that like it did here. But I don't expect it to drop. But if it does drop, I'll be prepared, right? So this is, the great thing about having this kind of experience. So that's Bitcoin. I'm expecting Bitcoin to move in and attack the 37.73 to 38.13 zone.
And I'm not. I'm expecting price to test the lows again and come back down to 3,400. I think there are a lot of longer term players that are trying to push this down past the low of 32. And I think that everyone believes that this is the low, and all the hodlers out there, and I'm a hodler too, but, we want the price to go up. We're ready to, get some liquid cash again. But I think that in the next, 2 weeks that we are going to see some moves to the lower side. This is kind of a thing though. This is price discovery. As Ned said earlier in the lesson here, everyone right now has an idea of what they think is a fair price for this commodity, for Bitcoin. What you see on the screen right now, 36.70, that is exactly what the market decided the fair price is at this current moment. So as a trader, you have your own opinions on that. If you are aware that you're in a 10-day cycle and you think it's oversold or overbought or too high or too low, you're going to make a trade according to that. Why we're here is to show you that there are tools and visualizations and true mathematics that can help you fine-tune that understanding even more.
Yeah, and so another piece of this is when you have a trading plan and you get to this level of resistance, it's not all or nothing. You can start taking profits, right? We'll teach you that in future lessons. And if you're using stop losses, you can move your stop loss to break even. So you would take some of your position off here and move your stop loss to break even. So if the market does come down, at least it would be break even plus whatever your first profit target was.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Just
no one wants to lose money.
Yeah.
No one wants to put some money into this venture and watch it go away.
Right.
And that's understandable. We all work, we all somehow made our money, and you should protect it and increase it. I mean, the reason why we live in the world we live in is because of the American banking system and the global banking system, and a huge side of this entire thing is based on the actual technology and computer science behind blockchain and digital assets. This is very valuable. What we're doing right now is just looking at the market and the price of these commodities and these assets. But it's really also, if you really are interested in this, like actually looking up the technology behind all these projects is really exciting. We're kind of flexible too to the community here. And if you guys want us to focus on, maybe more, of a fundamental lesson on, what is Litecoin, right? What is Ethereum? I've heard about it. What is Ripple? What makes each of them different from each other? In our next live stream recording, we're gonna talk a little bit more about the altcoins. But tonight we just wanted to start off and give you a basic.
So I'd like to go. So we're going to focus primarily on Bitcoin, Ripple or XRP, and Tron. Right. So Tron. Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. I just want to do a quick debrief on those two coins and their price action for today before we end. And I also want to say, rules of trading: preserve your capital. Right, so that's what we were talking about before. Trading with stop losses is, could be controversial, just like hodling is. So we'll get into that in the future. And again, trade your plan. Okay, so really want to reiterate, and then it'll be interesting. We'll come back and we'll see how this trade worked out and whether Ted or I were right. But either way, no matter who was right, we're both going to make money, and so that's the important thing. There's actually a phrase often repeated in trading, which goes, bulls make money, bears make money, but pigs get slaughtered. So know when to take profit and know when to protect your capital. So maybe I should move on to XRP now, and we could take a look at the price action for today. All right, so again, you can see this really well-defined range up here at 39 cents. And support, we've hit support here at 32.6 cents, right? And so again, we'll be teaching this. This was a perfect reversal pattern here, right in the zone. And so today we had this big push up. This is the 4-hour chart, and we're moving a little sideways now. And there's still an hour left, so we can't make a determination on what this candle is going to be. And this is actually a really important point, is that whatever your time frame is, you have to wait for the candle to complete. I've seen lots of traders, they're on a 30-minute time frame, and they start panicking after 5 minutes. You can't do that. You have to have your time frame and stick to your time frame. But if we look at this area, this range area here, so this is a pretty obvious range right here. So we're coming back to test this range here. And so now the question is this range going to hold, or is it going to move up? It's almost resembling a mini head and shoulders pattern, but we'd have to get a little more of a drop down and then a push back up to confirm that. It's kind of a smallish range, so I'm not sure I would call it a head and shoulders, but it'll be interesting to see. Maybe overnight we'll get a little bit of a retracement. And let's see, let me get my brush out. We could get something like that comes down like this and then moves back up. So that's a potential, or we could just blow through the zone and test the support level down here.
If you slide the chart over and look at the bars that are missing, even more, like all the way, can we, so you see that there's a lot of price action that's lower. Just keep in mind that, yes, we see this move to the upside, but there's also a whole zone of a range zone, from about, let's see, 20, 27, give or take, to 33 on the lower end too. So it's all looking at your distances and your levels, and it's going to be exciting to see where it goes next.
Yep. All right, so that's Ripple, or I'm sorry, XRP. Ripple is the company, XRP is the coin. So let's remind myself to make that correct from now on. Okay, and then Tron. Okay, I love calling it Tron. So yesterday, everybody was saying Tron is dead. There was so much FUD. I'm involved, in many aspects of crypto and blockchain and digital assets, and I will tell you, Tron has had a working mainnet since last May. That is pretty commendable. There are so many projects out there that wish they even had a test net up and running, right? And they're building like mad. But Tron, give them credit. They have a mainnet that's up and running. They have a conference coming up in San Francisco the end of this week called Nitron. Kobe Bryant is going to be the guest speaker. And they're announcing they bought BitTorrent last March. And so now they have a new coin called BTT, which is a tokenized asset for BitTorrent. And I'm expecting some kind of big announcement coming out of the conference, and maybe not just one. So it'll be interesting to see. But I looked earlier today, and they were up 17% on the day. And so they were definitely one of the biggest gainers, in blockchain today. So looking good. We tagged this support zone here. I will point out this, make it big enough so you can all see this doji candle right here. So when you have a sharp move down into support, and then you get this doji, you couldn't have asked for a better buy signal, right? So, and this is on a 4-hour chart. And if we go down to a 30-minute chart, and that's kind of what I like to do, you could see price came down, found support, moved sideways. We had this long tail hammer. We then got a doji, a shooting star. But one thing that I will tell you is when you see a shooting star down here, it's in the wrong place. And that's another good buy signal when it's down here. You would expect that kind of candle to be at the top of a range. I'm sure we could find them, something like this, right? So that candle. But you don't expect that to be here. So that's, when you see these misplaced candles, it's another good indication that the trend is going to reverse or price is going to reverse. And that's what it did. And we broke out with really a sharp move up. And then, today was just beautiful price action. I tend to be a longer term investor. I hold for a longer term, but if you were a day trader, you had plenty of trades to get into and get out during the course of today.
And that's kind of a pretty important aspect too. I mean, when you're watching this video and you're checking us out here, if you're a longer term trader and you believe in a project, some of these price fluctuations aren't going to matter to you as much. If you're planning on holding it in for 10, 15 years, we're going to see Bitcoin at 20,000, in a few years and hopefully higher than that. But if you want to make money while that's happening and you want to increase your position size while this is all happening, this is something that, there are a lot of different reasons to get in. There's a really cool, scientific, mathematic, and artistic form of trading here, and there's a lot you can get into it. So think about what your goals are. But if you do want to become financially independent and provide yourself with constant income, I mean, this is the right place.
Yeah. And, as Ted was saying earlier, your time frame is important. And so if you want to day trade, one thing about price action is that it's fractal. So it's really the same at every level. So if you're looking at a 4-hour chart, or if you're looking at a 4-minute chart, you're going to see the same kind of price action. You're going to see the same support and resistance levels, right? So even here, I'm looking and I could kind of see, look at this, excuse my squiggly line, but look at that support line. And if you're a day trader and you traded that, and then you saw this kind of price action, you could have ridden this, maybe you take your first profit up here, and then you ride it up to here, and then, ride it up to here. And when you start seeing this kind of sideways action at the top,
you switch your position and sell. And that's the great thing about being a trader. And if you're in tune, if you're reading the charts, if you're doing your homework, you're looking at the levels, you're looking at the indicators. We haven't talked about momentum or RSI yet. These are really exciting tools, and you could see these patterns and double, triple, quadruple your profits in hours. I mean,
And
really.
You could also stop for the day, right? If you should have a target. If you're trading for the day, you have a target. You meet your target. This was a very successful day. Not every day is going to be like this, but this was a good day. And we'll show you how to trade something like this. What do you do when day after day after day is a range? We're going to teach you how to do that as well. And so, but maybe you made your profit for the day and, you got to go home early.
And there's a lot to be said about the 1 to 2 trades a week. A lot of early traders struggle with over trading, and a lot of the professionals say 1 to 2 good trades a week, and then that's really all you need. But then that's patience and not just jumping in because you want to be part of the game.
Yeah.
When you are in, trade management is so critical.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really so much to learn here, and we have a lot of support and experience with reading charts and trading, and I really hope you all subscribe. And I'm going to start a morning market update segment starting tomorrow. So, tune back in to the channel here. I'm an early riser, and I kind of want to know, what happened overnight. I want to see where the price is, first bell, I want to know. So tune in for some morning market updates.
And subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure to hit the little alarm icon, and you'll get notified every time we post a video, and you'll get notified when we do some live streaming, which we're going to be doing in the future. From the Digital Assets Trading Academy, we thank you for watching. Please leave your comments below, and we'll see you on the next video.
Cheers, everybody. Happy trading.